Hey guys, what's up? Sheikh Harsuman here from Biotechnica, and today we are talking about a very interesting topic. My mentor told me once that whenever you want to go in whichever direction, always plan 10 years in advance. And now that you all are planning to write your CSIR net and do your PhD, it's very important to know what it entails, what will come your way, and how to prepare for it. Today, we are going to cover the first year survival guide for PhD. Now, very interesting fact about this particular survival guide is how did I compile it? So over the past 16 years, I have at least spoken to more than 20,000 plus PhD scholars across the globe, not just India, across the globe. And all those PhD scholars plus my own experience, I am going to put it forward into this video. I'm going to put my entire heart out on the pros and the cons and the challenges which you will face as a PhD student. But remember, at any point in time, my intention is not to discourage you from doing PhD. Instead, I'm also going to give you solutions which you can implement so that you can not just survive, but thrive. But for knowing all those pointers, today we have to get started. Welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about survival for PhD first year. As you can see on the screen at my back, I have included how many? Not 1, 2, 3, 20 pointers. Now that means this video can get a little longer. However, keep in mind, your CSIR net is just a small part of your game. After that, your first year, second year, 5, 6 years of PhD, it's huge, right? So it always helps to know what challenges you will face. So guys, do not miss even a single point. If need be, you can always increase the speed of this video so that you cover all the points and you are always ready for any challenge which you will overcome, which will come your way and you will overcome them. Okay. So the first point which I would like to highlight here today is always choose applied biology topics. Now this is a mistake most of the students do. Even before they start the PhD preparation, they should decide which particular field they want to go in and what is the topic. And always it should be applied biology topic, because the billionaires of tomorrow are going to be applied scientists of today. Okay, mark my word, the billionaires of tomorrow will be the applied scientists of today. Whether it is Dyson or Edison, all of them were applied scientists. They applied the knowledge which they learned into creating something. Okay, so that's my first point. Always choose applied science, applied biology topics. The second one, very important, always write down what are your expectations from your PhD. Now, it will sound a bit stupid that you will just take a pen and paper and write it down. But trust me, it works, because when you clearly know what you expect from this degree, then nobody else can come and disillusion you or show some dark side and tell you that you should quit. Okay, so it's very important to know your ambitions, your PhD expectations, and where you want to go after this. Okay, so that's my second point. Know your PhD expectations. Now the third point is network with your PhD guide. And now this should happen right away. Even before you have qualified CSIR net, get active on LinkedIn and start interacting with all those PhD guides so that they personally start knowing you. Okay, why this is important, I'll tell you. Now imagine that you are going to do your PhD from CDFD. Now, if you already know a lot of people in CDFD, even before you have joined CDFD, you already know, okay, this person seems to be knowledgeable. So you'll always put preference there. Also, you'll know this particular guide is doing research in this. So it will be easy for you to approach. So network with your PhD guide even before you have started your PhD. During your CSIR net preparation itself, you can do this. It's very simple. The fourth point for today is never ever cross the professional barrier. Now, what does it mean? It means that your PhD guide could be a male or a female, cracking jokes or trying to get over friendly with them is a strict no-no. If you try to do that, it will someday definitely backfire you. Okay. Remember, he is going to be your boss. Being friendly with him is important, but being over friendly and probably you crack some joke which might insult him, you don't know, right? So that is why never ever cross the professional barrier, and this should apply anywhere in the world. Okay. Now the fifth pointer is never gossip or participate in political, regional or religional debates. Okay, so what I mean to say here from the fifth pointer is, you see, when you are in PhD, basically it's science, right? So science is all about questions. Now you get into a debate where you are gossiping about your PhD guide, or probably somebody in this management of the organization. Probably you participate in some language based discussion, that this language is good, that language is good, or maybe a religion based, like this religion is bad, that religion is good. You don't know how this will work in your favor or against. Okay, so never ever get into gossip, regional or religional kind of debates. Okay, during your PhD, you are there for your PhD, you are there to fulfill your professional ambitions, so just do that. Okay, now the sixth one, be organized and have an execution plan. Now first year of PhD is like you are in a new organization, new institute, new boss, new type of degree, and you're being paid for that. So new type of setup where everything is like, okay, uncharted territory, you've never been here, so you'll be scared, right? The only way you can feel confident during your first year of PhD is writing down an organized plan. Remember, PhD is nothing but organized execution focused in the common direction, which is your subject question, right? So you have to always be organized and have an execution plan, step-by-step plan, instead of being haphazard. So how do you do that? First week of your PhD, try to understand what kind of schedule it is, what kind of expectations are there of my guide, what kind of work I have to do. Then make a list of whatever you did in the whole day and chalk out what things will be a priority, what things you can postpone. This way you'll stay organized and you'll be able to execute better. So that's my sixth point. Moving ahead to the seventh one, and that is speak to your seniors about how they are managing. Okay, so now this is very important. Of course, you should not get into any kind of politics or gossip, but you can always talk to your seniors and superiors about how they manage the first year, because every institute is different in a manner than the other one, right? So what I'm telling you is generalized one, but specific tips, tricks and techniques you will definitely get from your seniors. Okay, now coming to the eighth point, you should know the pitfall and what annoys your guide. Now, all the guides probably will be in their 40s. Minimum age will be 40s. Now, by the time we all turn of the age of 40, we're very specific and very particular about the way things are done. Now, this is a human behavior. It has nothing to do with a particular person. You should know this. And even probably when you will be 40 plus, you will also be very particular about the way things are done. So now what happens is you should know the pitfalls and what annoys your guide. If you know this, then you'll never commit that mistake and you'll never annoy your guide. Now, the relationship between your guide and you is sacred. Many students do this mistake. What they do is they start challenging the guide. They start fighting with the guide or arguing with the guide. That's not going to help you achieve your degree. Remember, this is a professional degree where you are not here to debate with anyone. You are here to finish your job. Okay. Now, there can be situations where your PhD guide may seem to be unfair. Voice your opinion, but never ever get into an argument. That is where we come to the next pointer, which is my ninth point. Question if you must, but never ever argue with your guide. Now, your guide is used to a particular typical way of doing things. The moment you try to disrupt, they are going to be annoyed. Okay, you can always question or put a question in a polite way to them, but never ever get into a argument. Disagreements are welcome, arguments are not. This you have to keep in your mind, because your PhD guide will be very helpful. Trust me, he will be the only person who will help you throughout your PhD and tell you whenever you are stuck with your topics. Okay, so that's where PhD guide comes into picture. Now the 10th point is learn the protocols and lab etiquette. Now you should know this: 10% of all the researchers in India face lab safety issues. Okay, 70% of the researchers in India are not equipped with lab safety equipments. Okay, so 10% accidents happen, but 70% of the times you will be directly exposed to chemicals, radiations, or whatnot. So if you do not follow the protocols, if you do not follow the lab etiquettes, you will fall into the biosafety issue. You may get some kind of accident, and that will probably become a national headline, which your project guide doesn't want. So always follow the protocols and lab etiquettes, because that's what is very, very much needed. Okay, coming to my 11th point: be mathematical in your approach. Remember, PhD is all about data. Okay, no matter what PhD you do, as long as you're doing it in science, it's gonna entail data. So data calculation, data validation, data mining, and calculations. It will be a part of your game. Okay, so you have to be very mathematical in your approach. And again, when you're doing your PhD, you should not get emotionally attached there. You have to be mathematical. You have to be very clinical. It's just a degree. It has nothing to do with your abilities or inabilities. You're pursuing an experiment. It may work, may not work, but at any point in time, you have to remember that maths is what will help you finish your PhD faster. So be very good with data. Be very good with data interpretation, be very good with data tools, and be very, very good with data mining. So these are the pointers which I wanted to highlight here. Coming to the next one, which is the point number 12, that is network with other PhD fellows in other labs. Now, this is something which comes very handy, because sometimes your PhD fellowship may get delayed. Now, you don't know whether it is a problem in your institute or only with you, or whether it is everywhere. So when you network with other people, like probably on LinkedIn or maybe in your friend circle, somebody is doing PhD from Karnal, somebody is doing from Hisar, somebody is doing from Karnataka, somebody is doing from Kolkata. So when you network, okay, they are also facing similar problems and how they solved it. So at the institute level or the organizational level, when you know this is happening, you can always approach your guide and tell them that, sir, this is happening in their organization. So nothing to worry, we can always fix it. So when you network with other PhD fellows, you will know the real scenario and how they are overcoming it. Probably they are also facing a similar reagent scarcity problem, and they'll tell you how did they solve it. So these are the things which you should know. So point number 12 is very important. Coming to the point number 13, which is make a list of what can potentially go wrong during your PhD and how to avoid them. Probably this itself can be a video topic for my next video, so I'll definitely try to cover there. But here is something which you should know. If you have a list, so okay, these are the pitfalls, these are the traps, these are the problems which will probably increase the duration of my PhD, and my fellowship will end after 5 years. Now, the 6th and 7th year, I have to do my research unpaid, which I don't want, right? So if I know the list of things which I should, potentially avoid, which will not, which will probably have a bad impact on my PhD tenure, so obviously you will save time. Time is money, isn't it? So without wasting much time, let's move to the 14th point, which is always follow lab safety protocols. Now, like I said in my previous pointer, 70% of Indian labs don't have biosafety protocols, don't have biosafety equipments also. They don't have chemical safety equipment also. And very less students know this, that exposure to harmful chemicals can be life-threatening situations. I'm sure you don't want your life to be at stake while you're doing PhD, right? You want your career also not at stake, right? And that is why you are listening to this video. But here is a point. Lab safety is your primary duty. Experiment mein result aata hai, nahi aata, does not matter. Lab safety is your primary duty, because that way you are not just jeopardizing your own safety, you are jeopardizing the safety of others. Recently, there was a Halloween day, and people, I don't know what happened. In South Korea, 151 people died. On the same day in Gujarat, 100 people died. They all climbed on a bridge and the bridge broke, right? And then the similar situation happened somewhere else also. Why this happens? Because we don't follow the safety protocols, right? And in lab, you are exposed to hundreds of chemicals. So you have to have safety protocols. Okay, so that's my very important point. Now coming to the 15th point, which is get used to failures, disappointments, and rejections. Well, if you are used to Bangalore traffic, you are used to all of these, but jokes apart, failures, yeah. So when you're doing experiments are bound to fail. That's why we call them experiments, right? Disappointments, you submitted your thesis and got rejected. Probably you submitted your draft report and got rejected. Happens. And disappointments, like you expecting the chemicals to arrive on time, it never arrived, right? So these kind of things will happen. My dear friend, remember, PhD teaches you a lot about life. A PhD scholar, once he finishes his PhD, he's a changed person altogether. So these rejections, failures should not deter you. It should not scare you. You should know that this is a part of the process and you have to accept it as it comes. One failure at a time, one rejection at a time. Don't club all of them and think that I'm such a useless fellow. No, it's not like that. It is just that this is a part of the process. Okay. Now, coming to the next pointer, which is, so the next pointer is 16th pointer, have a mentor who is not your PhD guide. So yeah, you do have a PhD guide, but apart from that, you should have a mentor who could be an industry expert, who could be somebody like me or somebody on LinkedIn you found and networked with him, someone who can give you a third-party view of your work. Okay, I'll tell you my experience. So there are many students who email me on a daily basis. Some of them I reply, some of them I miss out, but yeah, majority I reply. So what happens is when I mentor them, I myself learn, and then the next person gets the learnings of the previous person also, right? So that is what is the benefit of having a mentor. So always have a mentor who himself is an implementer, and then you see magic happens in the first year of your PhD itself. Okay, moving on to the 17th point, have a hobby. Beautiful line this is, have a hobby. You should have. Why you should not? Always focus on your PhD work, because if you're doing that too much, then you will get saturated, and many students drop out in their second year. Let me tell you this. Many students drop out even before their second year of PhD starts, and they start getting into some coaching institute for teaching. I know a lot of them. Why do they do that? It's because during their PhD tenure, first year, they were full intensity working. They didn't take breaks. They didn't enjoy the process. And now that they're fully saturated, burnt out, they're like, I don't want to do it. Let's, finish this off. Let's close it. But the truth is, if you had a hobby, if you continue that, maybe gardening, maybe painting, maybe, people have shopping as a hobby, whatever it is, just do it. What happens next is, you have already enjoyed that particular hobby in your free time. So when you go back to work, when you go back to your experiments, you will enjoy them too, because you're going in refreshed. Remember, in a computer, if you have 1,000 tabs open, what will happen? It'll hang. But if you go and press a refresh or maybe a restart, it works. That's all life is. So that's your 17th point. Moving on to the 18th one, and that is, do not attach emotions to your lab results. Now, what happens when you are an emotional person? You fail in an experiment, you attach your emotions, you start crying, you have anxiety attacks, and then everybody else around you will be like, what's wrong with him? This is normal. But you are not able to take that rejection, right? So when you attach your emotions to that particular thing, probably that's where the mistake is. Don't attach your emotions. Just be like a doctor. A doctor never attaches emotions to his patient. He's very clinical, right? Same way you got to be. You have to be clinical in your approach with your PhD topic, with your experiments as well. Okay. Moving ahead to the 19th point, which is make conferences, research, and research papers as a part of your life. Well, you got to attend a lot of conference. You probably as an attendee initially and later on as a speaker. You got to, publish papers. You got to face all that process. It's a part of the, process, and you have to take it as it comes. Okay. Take it as it comes, but instead of, regretting or feeling saturated, take a break if you must, but never quit. Remember, PhD is not a sprint, it is a marathon. So go slow, but keep moving forward towards your research goal. That's my 19th point. moving ahead to the beautiful 20th point, which is follow Biotechnica on all the social media platforms as well as Biotechnica website. Be a subscriber of Biotechnica, and also you can connect with me on LinkedIn and a lot of other researchers. I'll put down my LinkedIn link below. You can directly chat with me whenever you are in a dilemma. And of course, I come every Wednesday at around 5 o'clock live through our Telegram group, and you can talk to me directly. Any question, any comment, any feedback, put them down in the comment section or meet me live in the Ask Me Anything sessions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was long, but nothing is better as long as you're succeeding in your life, in your career, in your PhD. And that's what was the intention here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon in my next video. But remember, rest if you must, do not quit. PhD is a marathon, not a sprint, not a 100-meter race. You're going to win if you keep all these 20 points in mind. Let me know if you have the 21st point, because I would love to learn from you. Learning is earning. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.